Well, looky what we have here. A nice fine member of the People's Republic, no doubt. Or at least what's left of it. Good to make your acquaintance, friend. You can just call me Officer. This is my laboratory. Now, look, China fell long ago, and as did the United States. But their remnants are still running around doing whatever they're doing, and our remnants are here, building laboratories and doing a few experiments. Speaking of experiments, it's my son, Super Meat Boy, the ultimate super soldier in the making. You see, I knocked a super mutant to the ground last episode, and before I executed the bastard, I collected some of his DNA. And what you see before you here is my doing. Super Meat Boy here is quite the formidable foe, but could you imagine if we had an army of him? Yeah, I like the sound of that too, and that's why in today's episode we are going to be cloning the ultimate super soldier super mutant army. But we have a lot to take care of first, so we are going to start putting into place many of the things that we need to go about making this army. What you see right now is a bit of farming around our large radioactive lake. You might be wondering as to why I'm worried about that for cloning an army of super mutants. Not only do we need enough food to feed them after they're born and ready for action, but we also need enough food to feed into their nutrition tanks while they're being cloned. We're going to be going with rice because, of course, rice is the fastest growing crop, and that way we can get it as soon as possible ready to feed into the tank. We'll worry about quality later on. Right now, we need quantity. As we're letting our crops grow, that way we can start up a great big stockpile of them to prepare for the cloning season. We're also going to be expanding the laboratory a little bit out to the east, where we mined out a large vein of steel recently, repurposing that steel to go about building some walls and an operating room, as you can see. Ever so quickly, we went ahead and prepared Super Meat Boy in the operating room to collect a little bit of his DNA. We've refined it a bit from his original donor, known as simply Meat, and these clones that we're going to be making are actually going to have much better genetics. You could kind of think of it like dog breeding, making sure that we have the best genetics from each batch, except it's more like inbreeding with only one set of DNA, but it's all done through test tubes? I don't know. Another teeny tiny little issue that we face at the moment is power. All of those growing vats are going to take up a lot of electricity, so we're going to be expanding out our reactor room and adding in yet another small nuclear reactor. This should be plenty to go about powering all of the growing vats with a lot of excess left over for anything else that we add on. With plenty of power and some rice finally in storage, I think that we are finally ready, at the very least, to turn on our vats, get them going, heat them up a little bit, and now finally ready for the cloning process. Yes, that's right, my little deformed super mutant embryos. Grow big and strong for Papa, because we have a lot of rebuilding to do. We're going to make our pre-war nation, our culture, and our peoples proud today. Perfect, our first batch of crops. It looks like you little fellas started growing just in time for breakfast. Who's hungry? Here we go. Look at Super Meat Boy being such a good big brother. Or father, perhaps? I don't really know how that works. I do know that we need a dedicated place for all this food that we're trying to store, so that's exactly what we're going to be working on at the front of the laboratory. We're building some great big metal crates, which can actually hold, some of them at least, can hold up to about 32 stacks of food, which is pretty great, and it also means we're much more organized. I've decided to build this right next to our growing vats room. That way, obviously, it's much easier to take the food in there. However, as our facility continues to grow larger, we need a few helping hands. And I could really use someone who might be a bit, say, handy. Oh, we're crafting a Mr. Handy, as you can see. The perfect companion for all day-to-day tasks, who is just a jack of all trades. A bit of hauling, a bit of cleaning, things like that. Although it's going to take a couple days for it to be assembled, so we'll check back in on him in a moment. In the meantime, while we're waiting, we're not going to be sitting around twiddling our thumbs. No, we are expanding the laboratory once again. I expect this comes as no shock to you, as that's been a lot of what we've been doing this far, but at the moment we are actually building 2 large rooms, which will be the barracks for our army. The following morning, just before breakfast, we actually had a bulk goods trader coming from a nearby NCR settlement. Perhaps you should hide inside, my son. I think they're already going to be quite skeptical of my uniform. I doubt that they're going to trust the Chinese remnants all that much, even though they're quite familiar with me already. I went to do business with them later into the evening and ended up purchasing quite a bit of cloth from them. Now, why would I purchase cloth, you might be asking? Well, I completely forgot to grow some, and we needed that cloth as well as steel, which we already had in storage, of course, from all our mining efforts, to go about building some nice beds as well as end tables for our super soldiers. I don't just want to have any scraps. This isn't a raider settlement or some shabby-ass bar in the Mojave. No, this is going to be quite the institution. Not the institution, but something of a clean laboratory, a nice facility. One filled with items and furniture that would definitely be considered a luxury literally anywhere else in the country, in the world for that matter. And sticking with our promise of cleanliness, we're also going to be using this cloth to go about building ourselves some doormats. This will help us from tracking in dirt and debris constantly from the outside world, which also equates, of course, to less time spent having to clean. We need to run a tip-top ship around here, and a clean one at that. Our mutants will not be savage beasts like the others. However, they are beasts all the same, and beasts tend to be quite filthy. We don't need them tracking in mud and contaminating our experiments. Ah, and would you look at the time? Our Mr. Handy is finally assembled. In today's episode, we're going to be doing the naming of our Constructrons and Utilitrons, so if you guys have a name for our Mr. Handy here, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below, as well as names for anything that you'd like to name, of course. But with that, I think it's time that our friend here gives us a hand. He's already proving himself to be quite useful by taking over cleaning duty, freeing us up to do other things like harvesting our crops to feed our growing army, things like that, of course. Speaking of which, I sat for several days watching our little super soldier embryos grow bigger and stronger until eventually... Oh, look how precious all my little swaddled murderers are. Oh, hey there, little fella. Gucci Gucci goo. Look at you. How precious. A perfect batch of clones. All happy, healthy little babies ready to grow into the perfect super soldiers. Well, all except for this one. Unfortunately, it didn't make it for some reason. Even so, though, the rest of our babies are happy, healthy, and most importantly, alive. So we need to stuff them back into their growing vats. That way they can grow into adult super soldiers. They're not much use to us until they can walk and hold a rifle. You little bastards, stay in the oven and don't stop baking until you're ready to commit homicide. But that begs the question, what do we do with this poor, unfortunate little fellow? I have an idea. Who's hungry? I brought, barbecue. Ah, come on. Don't tell me you're getting soft on me. Poor little guy was already gone. Best he can do for us now is fuel the greatness of his brothers. Besides, we spent a lot of food growing that little turd. Gotta get our money back and all that. Uh-oh. Do I hear the pitter-patter of large green feet belonging to filthy native super mutants who have come to attack us? I believe so. Well, this should be interesting. 3 untrained, undisciplined super mutants from the wild versus our genetically enhanced and superior killing machine. I'll say a little prayer for them. They're gonna need it. Alright, we're all actually going to be moving up, along with all of our Constructrons and Utilitrons. Now, I know, I talk big talk of Super Meat Boy going in alone, but I don't really feel like tending to him after, so... if things start getting a little bit too rough, I'm going to bring myself as well as all of our robots in to assist him with this fight. But for now, I might just let him kind of handle it on his own, I suppose. We're gonna move everybody up there and prepare. All right, so we're starting to get our robots in order. I'm actually gonna swap over to the machine gun. I don't think the range is quite that good, but okay, let's pull back a bit here. Picking them off one by one, which is nice. I'm gonna move myself. Let's come down this way, okay. There we go. There, perfect. Now they're beginning their assault though, so we need to prepare for them to come this way. I want to get all of our Protectrons up this way so that they can fire with their lasers, which for some reason they're not, they have a very short range is why. Let's go ahead and kill him. Yeah, they have a very short range. I'm gonna move myself back, of course. Oh no! We lost a Utilitron. Come on. Oh my word. See if we can distract this one by stabbing him in his stomach or something. There we go. All right. Move along. I'm going to try to protect our robots as much as I can. Use the hunting rifle. I'm actually going to send Super Meat Boy after this guy. I really want to kill him. They don't really have anything of interest, but their weapons will be useful for our army until we actually manage to make our own. Continue, continue. Go, go, go. He's going to get away. Maybe. He might not, actually. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Ah, wonderful. Now, who is the superior being, bitch? Go ahead and pick up this pipe rifle. We're gonna take all these weapons back. Now, Super Meat Boy, let's take a look. Nothing but bruises and a few cracks. Absolutely stellar, I must say, absolutely stellar. We do have our Utilitron injured. That's okay, or not injured, but dead. I wish it were injured. The others are injured. The Utilitron is dead, which is actually okay. We should be able to resurrect the Utilitron pretty easily, I think. Yes, so we can resurrect our Utilitron. So if you've submitted names for them, and we're getting ready to name them here in a little while, don't worry. He'll be back in business in just a moment. But we do want to get the weapons hold as badly as I don't want to be the same as other super mutants, of course, using scrap weapons and what have you. We don't currently have the materials to go about making our own, and so we're going to have to make do with what we have, of course. Ah, there we go, okay. So we do have our, let's just make sure. Okay, yeah, we got the Utilitron. Utilitron 2 is back in the vat, and it's going to be about 2 days and he'll be back in business. We have to reassemble him. We have to fix his fried hardware. The Mr. Handy, the Utilitrons, they're all very useful. Their lasers are incredibly short range, though. That's the only issue. We have to get very close to handle that. Do we not have any herbal medicine? Oh my god, it doesn't matter, he has bruises anyways, but we need to start growing some medicine then, I suppose. Think we, you know what, we might not actually have a high enough skill. Yes, we don't have an 8 in plants, no wonder we didn't do it. So after we gestate our Utilitron back to life, we resurrect it, I'm actually going to work on a Mr. Farm Handy. Okay, so that should be able to do, that one should be able to go about planting the heal root for us. The herbal meds. Ah, such ambitions and big plans. For now, though, we must sit and wait. Oh, never mind. It would appear that our Protectron has been resurrected and is back in action. Welcome back, friendo.
Powering
You have a lot of work to do?
on duty.
Perfect, and as do we. Immediately, we are going to begin assembling our very next robot, our Mr. Handy Farmhand. This, too, was perfect, and I just kind of skipped the gestation period. Nothing really happened, and now, as you can see, he's working hard out in the field. Or she. I don't know. I guess I'll wait for you fine folks to give these fellas some names as well. Or fellaheads, excuse me. Something I've neglected to mention is that our Mr. Handys actually require an upgraded version of the recharger. So we are going to be shifting the ones that we currently have into this empty section of the hallway and adding in a military-grade recharger for our mechs. That way we can make sure that they're all getting the battery power that they need. I also threw in a chest table, that way in case we get bored. You might also be asking yourself, if we're trying to keep our facility clean, what are we doing with all the toxic waste that we're getting from gestating mechs and recharging mechs? Well, we're just kind of dumping it outside. there is a wasteland out here. Who cares? We also have a great big pile of stone here at this side of the facility. I started moving it over because we plan on constructing where it's currently sitting, but I also started cutting it up, and the reason for that is I like to use this marble to supplement the steel that we've been using when we expand the lab. Once we got the stone pile moved though, we dug out a significant portion of this section and encompassed it with some walls. Now this can finally be our proper dining room and kitchen, one that is large enough for all of our soldiers to eat at once they're finally born. I know what you're thinking. Wait, up until this point, have you just been cooking and eating outside at the fire? Yes, I know, I'm a little bit behind in times, but we're making up for it now. Not only is this a much cleaner environment to cook in, people enjoy eating inside here more than outside at the campfire, but also we should be able to cook meals much more effectively and efficiently. Speaking of our army, by the way, take a look at this. These fellas are almost fully grown and ready to come out of their vats. They're so large, in fact, that they're literally bursting at the seams. Oh, mama. It's still gonna be a hot minute though, so in the meantime, let's continue improving our facility. First and foremost, I think I want to work on mine and Super Meat Boy's bedrooms. Hardly fair that the army have a decent looking barracks and we're still sleeping on scrap metal beds. So we've changed that and completely improved it. Ah, now that's more like it, I'd say. Go ahead, buddy, enjoy your soft, comfy bed. You've earned it. And you know what? What the hell? While we're at it, why don't we just go ahead and add in a nice little road going all around the facility and the perimeter that's made out of concrete, as well as adding in a nice back entrance just in case we need to make a quick escape or for convenience sake of bringing things in and that sort of stuff. As we were doing this, we had a California grizzly self-tame. Yes, a beast of legend around these parts. Somewhat common nowadays since they've been breeding like crazy out in the wasteland, but still pretty amazing to have such a rare creature joining us on its own. We must have left some meat scraps out or something. Which also brings up the point that I suppose we won't be hunting in this area anymore. There's a pretty scarce amount of wildlife, and I think this big fella's going to be eating them and hunting them on his own. That's okay though, we don't mind as long as he is loyal to us. He could even be the perfect mount for some of our super soldiers. I don't know if his back could handle one though, but we'll see how that goes. Also, if you have a name for this fine fellow, be sure to leave it in the comment section down below. And as if things couldn't get better, the moment we've all been waiting for. Our army of super soldiers. Alright, maybe it's not that much of an army, but maybe if you take into consideration the fact that each of these fellows is about the size of 3 humans, yeah. Ah, as the toxic rain fell upon their little green heads, I couldn't help but to sit and marvel at my creation, the fruit of my labor. Super Meat Boy, my boy, I now promote you to captain of this army, or general, or whatever rank that you like. I know that you're quite simple-minded, so just you're the leader now, buddy. And we are going to do great things. But first we need to throw some armor on those bare green asses, eh? Oh, I know just the equipment to provide them with, to at least start out with, of course. We're going to be tailoring up some uniforms for them and throwing together some simple metal helmets, and voila. Ah, they're absolutely stunning. Such dapper uniforms, gentlemen. It reminds me of some fellows I used to serve with back in the day. Of course, they weren't quite as large or mutated. But nevertheless, you look great. I will say, though, that those uniforms aren't going to protect them all that much, but I don't currently have the resources to go about making them all perfect armor, as I have to expend a lot of those resources on their weapons, which is going to take a while. In the meantime, let us provide some proper names to our Protectron workforce. I asked you guys last episode to provide some of these names, and for our 2 Constructrons we have Humpty and Dumpty. Wonderful names provided by our friend Invasion Animation, who actually just suggested the name Humpty Dumpty for one because they kinda look like large Deathclaw eggs, which I can see the resemblance. But I like the name so much, I thought it might be fitting to share for 2 of them. As for our 2 Utilitrons, we have Terry and Jerry, with these names coming from our good friend Void Seeker 2136. No explanation given exactly, but no explanation needed. I can feel it in my soul, the perfect names for them. As for our base name, we're going to be calling it the Super Industrial Meat Factory. That's a mouthful if I ever seen one. And as for ourselves as a whole, we're going to be calling ourselves the Wasteland Genetic Research Company, with this name coming from our friend the People Playground Files 3404. I want to say I'm a big fan of the faction name because I like to think that even though we're Chinese remnants and we're kinda sorta building back up the Chinese Empire, sort of, maybe a foothold here, we're also going to be fitting in with the culture and the community as much as possible. So calling ourselves this instead of something like the People's Republic Genetic something is much better, I feel. Now, as for the base name, I'm actually using a combination of the suggestions from our friends Yayani_K and Andrew House 3096. Apologies if I butchered your name, but I love the name Super Clone Industries and Super Meat Factory, so why not put them together? Thank you all for your suggestions, by the way. And of course, remember folks, if you have any suggestions for what you'd like to see in the series, mods you'd like to see, names you'd like to provide for anything, be sure to leave them in the comment section. I love you. Now that we've gotten our names taken care of, I think it's about damn time I show off our fighting force. Uniformed with rifles in hand and ready for action at a moment's notice. These incredible super soldiers are truly the next level in human evolution, and perhaps should be considered the greatest creation in all of the wasteland. And they're also all my babies, of course, no matter how grotesque they may look in the face. And as for naming our soldiers in the army, I've decided to name them after some fine friends that I have made along the way, even many of them, actually most of them, also being financial benefactors. One could maybe call them patrons, I suppose. Wonderful names, nonetheless. Uh-oh, what do we have here? A siege from the Enclave? I was literally just about to say that I would love a good test for our new army. Perfect timing, I suppose. Although it must be said that the Enclave are not playing around. This is not going to be all that easy. They've never really been pushovers, but this is going to be our first time here experiencing some proper laser weaponry, as well as someone in power armor. Perhaps we've met our match. Only one way to find out. First things first, I am going to grab some yayo. We only have about 10 in storage right now. We haven't made any more, even though we desperately need to. We need to be quick about this. I want to bring it out. He's not picking it up for some reason. Whatever. Let's just start snorting some... well... trying to watch what I say here. But you know that we're going to do yayo, and the reason that we're doing yayo, of course, because it is going to give us our increased movement speed and pain tolerance. And I'm saying all this very quickly and very nervously because I have a feeling that mortar shells are going to start dropping down on our heads in any moment here. We've almost got everyone, though. We've got about half of them doing the yayo. I'm gonna check on the progress of this siege in just a minute. There's no way that we take... oh, shit. I don't even have to. That was very close. That was very close. I want Super Meat Boy to get the last one because he is our strongest, or at least has our best armor. So everyone but Jono is going to have the yayo effects, which is alright. Okay, I think we are ready to set out. I'm going to hide in the bathroom just in case. And we are going to start moving up here to take on the Enclave. Okay, they are getting another one up. Oh, they're hitting our old base. Oh, you dumb bastards. You idiots. Yes, I insist. Please continue hitting that base. We don't mind. Dumbasses. And we have our army moving up this way. I want to try to prep a little bit before we actually take them on here. We do have to be quite careful, okay? I know we have super soldiers who are super badass, but I don't want them all dying right away, especially not to some laser minigun. I'm actually going to start bringing the army out a little to the eastern side here, and the reason for that, I want to watch this mortar and make sure we don't get hit directly. Oh, okay. We got clipped a little bit. Okay, I need to focus up here, though. I'm going to be bringing the army around to this side so that we can kind of take cover behind these ruins a bit. They still haven't really noticed us, which is great. Exactly what we need. It's not exactly ideal, but I'm going to try to double up. Yeah. Okay, I was going to say I'm trying to double up here on how they're taking cover, which is only kind of sort of working. We've already lost a wall here that we were hiding behind. I want Super Meat Boy out here with us. They're not even... I assume they're just a bit too afraid to leave their post. Ah, here we go. Now they've really noticed us. Okay. Alright, move, move, move. Move back. Immediately move back. That is really, really bad. Those lasers. Oh, bodacious buns. My friend, you have been blasted bad. Holy. Alright, everybody move down this way. Take cover. Take cover. The rest of you come to try to defend him. Let's see if we can get enough shots in to kill these bastards. There we go. Finally, a little traction. As they're coming around the bend, yes. Start lighting them up. If we stand in a group like this, here we go. Oh, no, 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 no. Okay, okay. Move back around the side. We gotta be careful. Ah, you know what? There's enough of us, I think. Okay, take a second. We gotta look at this. We need to get all of our mechs getting in here with us, or at least, yeah, up here. We don't have to worry about the mortar anymore, so let's get all of our mechs in the doorway at the very least. We could defend the base if, for whatever reason, I don't think it's going to happen, but our army fails. We're gonna try... many of us, as you can see, are very, very injured. So concerning. But there are many of us who haven't even taken any hits yet, so I want to try to move up on this power armor user. Oh my god. If we can engage in melee combat, though, we might just have a chance. There we go. There we go. Oh, man. With their greatest warrior dead, that means this is the perfect time for us to start killing the rest of them. And Super Meat Boy now has the Gatling laser. Oh, hello, little friend. Hey there, little pal. Go ahead and give you a good thumping. Oh, and the Enclave are fleeing. Oh, to think that we are going to let you flee. You're such a funny little critter, eh? You're funny little people, huh? I don't think so there, officer. Sorry. Ooh, that's a shame. And with that, my friends, the Enclave siege of the base has ended not with a big boom or anything like that, but with a pitiful whimpering fizzle. And it also looks like we have some artillery now. I'm gonna go ahead and let everyone go. We have, as you can see, oh my, a lot of injuries. Many of those, unfortunately. Let's check Super Meat Boy. Super Meat Boy is fine. However, some of our other folks, like Cat Dictator, have actually suffered bleeding wounds and quite a few different burns. At least we survived the attack. We're going to get everybody tended to. We're also going to go ahead and claim all of this wonderful stuff up here. We'll actually go ahead and get it hauled. And I'm going to reinstall this artillery turret down here, as I think it'll be quite handy for us. Not sure where to put it, maybe out front, I guess. I'm going to try to do some fencing, I think, with our lake soon. Defeated the Enclave. We also have a lot of their weapons that we can use. Let's see. These laser weapons are going to be amazing. We use scrap weapons to defeat them. We get laser weapons in return. It's a pretty damn good deal, I'd say. We didn't get all that many laser weapons, kinetic rifles and stuff, but we got a few pistols and things like that. I must say, for our little warriors not to have had any proper armor for the most part, they performed fairly well. That and the fact that they were using scrap rifles that we made here in-house, I'm mighty impressed. Speaking of which, though, the Enclave did wear some pretty useful armor that we might be able to repurpose, I think. Especially their combat armor and that power armor that this fellow was wearing. Now, you might be saying to yourself, though, isn't that armor tainted? Yes, it is, and that's a problem that we need to deal with sooner rather than later. And so I introduced to you the research into washing machines. I think it goes without saying, but I'll explain just in case, that washing machines wash clothing. And because they do that, that means they'll be able to wash all the corpse bile and whatever else that's in that armor away, and we won't mind wearing it. However, this research does take quite some time, so we're going to be working on that, and in the meantime, we're also going to be expanding on to the laboratory once more. Next to our recharging area in the hallway, we're actually going to be adding in something of a recreational room at the end of the hall. However, this was interrupted. We had a great big herd of Scaria-infected man-hunting Brahmin coming right for the lab. Well, lucky enough for us, we just so happened to have our very own herd of super mutants who could easily blast and pound these filthy cows back into the dirt, which they would do with a giant barrage of scrap rifle bullets as well as a few lasers. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. It's such a shame most of them are rotten, and the hardest part of this entire ordeal being that we had to carry off those rotten corpses to a pile out in the wasteland. Perhaps a nice Deathclaw will come along and take care of the problem for us. Or they'll just rot away. Meanwhile, back at the laboratory, we did finish up our recreation room, but this is no ordinary recreation room. This is one that is chocked to the brim with punching bags. I need our little mutated murderers in tip-top shape at all times, and this way they can practice their hand-to-hand combat a bit, as well as increasing the size of their punching muscles, I guess. And we would also end up putting a nice high security fence around the perimeter of the front of the laboratory, encompassing this little nuclear waste lake here with all of our crops, and this way we could also try to funnel in enemies if they were to catch us off guard, making it a bit easier to have a firing squad ready for them. I doubt I need to explain this, but since the fence is only around the front, that means that the back side of the laboratory is completely unprotected, at least by a fence. Not too concerned with that at the moment. Our current security force is our army. We don't have any automated turrets or anything, but we'll get around to souping this place up in no time. As for right now, we have much larger fish to fry as we have finally finished up the research into washing machines, and we would waste no time going about building a couple. That way we can immediately begin cleaning all of the armor that we got from the Enclave assault against us. And once these articles of clothing were finally clean, we started issuing them to our members. First and foremost, obviously, Super Meat Boy being our commander general, the leader basically. I don't have a working title just yet, but also our firstborn is going to be wearing the power armor. We had to make a few adjustments to fit it around his great green muscles, but it seems to work. We would also allow the others to play rock, paper, scissors, or maybe they fist fought, I don't really remember, but there was a lot of commotion in the storage room over the rest of the armor, mostly just being a few combat harnesses and things like that. Still, though, about half of our soldiers are missing some basic articles of clothing and armor like this, but we will be working on that next episode. For today, my friends, I think we have really shaped the laboratory up, and also, of course, we have created our super mutant, super soldier army. There's still a lot of work to put in for them, a lot of training for them to do, weapons, armor, so on and so forth. But we are off to an amazing start. I suppose I'll see you next time.